Now, this should be a shock to no one. I don't even know why this would have to be an article. This is a shock to no one. You know, this every game that's come out has had some kind of problems with it. And it's pretty obvious they don't test this stuff, which is really sad because you think of stuff like MMOs. You have was it Monster Hunter Wilds being beta tested. I think I saw Vera Dark play it. The players, the gamers, are going in and beta testing things and reporting back any bugs, and they're basically doing it for free. Why is it that they're able to do the job better than the multi-million-dollar company who pays people to do it? So, you know, you have these games, you know, MMOs are easily, obviously, tested very easily to where things like World of Warcraft, if you think about like how WoW used to launch compared to how it launches now when it comes to new expansions and stuff, you know, if there was bugs back then, it usually took like a week to fix. Nowadays, it's usually by the end of the day, because people are doing what they need to make sure that Blizzard knows, hey, this quest isn't working or this place is bugged or whatever. And usually by the end of the day, you know, you get a nice little patch in there to fix everything. Um, but games like, you know, these other games, you have this overly paid staff and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. I don't know. It's your job to do it. But yeah, new survey reveals almost 80% of devs don't test their games enough before launch. I mean, huge shock. New study reveals that 23% of developers do adequate QA for their video games. According to the developer, the QA budget isn't increasing on par with the complex video game development. AI-driven QA testing is set to take over, with 94% of the developers thinking it's the future. I mean, at this point, why not? If the fucking humans who are in charge of it aren't going to freaking do it, then you might as well let the AI take over. Oh, God, that's hideous. Model AI, the AI-driven company that does QA for video games to detect bugs, performance issues, and more, has just published a new study regarding gaming QA. The study, which involved almost 300 professional developers from the US, revealed that a staggering 77% of them don't do sufficient QA for their titles. Why it matters. Multi-million-dollar company releases glitchy and buggy games on release. Here's why that's a good thing. Um, Despite such big budgets, video games have been released in an underwhelming state full of bugs. Yeah. This new study shows why, revealing a lack of QA testing for those hundreds of millions of dollars of games. It's horrible. This wasn't the only statistic revealed from the study. 70.3% of participants revealed they had never launched a bug-free game. However, the reason why this is so is more interesting. 50% of responders claim that the QA budgets aren't increasing on par with the complexities of modern day development, and yet you have players who can do it perfectly fine. I mean, you have stuff. Look at, like I said, Monster Hunter Wilds. Looks like a big budget game, and you've got people testing it, players testing it. Have the gamer. It doesn't matter if it's like an MMO or not. You know, you let certain people have it and tell them, hey, we want you to play the game, find bugs. Um, which are on an increased scale and cost more manpower and budgets. Not if you're an MMO, which normal games that aren't MMOs do the same thing. They did the same thing with Dragon Age the Failguard. Like, oh yeah, here's a copy, you know, you can test it and blah, blah, blah. You know, and you play the game, you find a bug, you report it back. There's no reason why modern titles launch in such a buggy state despite hundreds of millions of dollars allocated into their budget. Star Wars Outlaws cost around 200 or 300 million dollars, but was still launched in such a subpar state of full of bugs. Similarly, the likes of Starfield had plenty of bugs as well at release. Also, you had things like Unknown 9 Awakening, where you had people moonwalking. People were moonwalking. They were moonwalking. They were walking into corners. It was just, it was bad. Um, the whole situation is partly to be blamed on the actual development process, which has become so complex over the years. For example, the notorious Unreal Engine 5 has been known to ruin video game development. Fixing all these problems late in development costs so much manpower and budget that it just isn't sustainable before the release. To combat this, AI-driven QA is taking over. 94% of 300 developers believe that AI is the future of shaping QA for video games and catching bugs and performance issues. However, the only 18% of participants are ready to integrate AI across their development. Probably spending too much on live service plans that never pan out. Care about QA. I mean, yeah, that's what they use. That's what usually happens. They always have like these big ideas. Live service type things aren't exactly cheap, and they focus so much money into that, but then the game just fails, or whatever. And right now, it's like Dragon Age: The Failguard. They planned on live services and stuff like that, and right now they're at a point where they're not even going to fix any bugs unless they're game breaking. So, um, yeah, probably spending too much on live service plans. Yeah, that costs a lot to maintain and all that, and so it's like all that money that could be going to quality, the quality assurance, it's being put somewhere else. And honestly, it's probably best to just make sure the game is working properly and then kind of fund into live services later on, rather than, oh yeah, we're gonna start with live services, but oh no, the game failed. You know, so focus on making the game playable. If you want live services, great, but do that at a later date. It doesn't have to launch with live services. Make sure when you release the game, your characters aren't moonwalking and walking into walls and glitching through the stage, or the scenery, and clipping through things. And make sure the combat is fluid and not like all janky. And I mean, what do you think gamers care about more? Live services or being able to play the game? You know, I would think. Now, I would think that for a gamer that you get a game, and the most important thing about it is not being able to purchase anything from a store or online, or play with people online, or anything like that. I would assume the biggest idea and the biggest thing you want is to be able to play the game. But yeah, you have all these. I think wasn't Outlaws one of those things that kind of suffered from that? Also, this dude's face. Ah, perfect. Actually, thumbnail right here. I should just like just like do that. There we go. Flashbang. Um. Oh, so bad. Yeah. So it's not a surprise. Like I said, games should have some kind of quality control, quality assurance, even if it is the gamers who have to do it, because it seems like gamers are a lot better at finding these things than the people who work for these companies are. Um, so maybe they can do what they did with the fail guard, and like, oh hey, here's the game, play it, give us your feedback. So that way that kind of cuts down on the man hours, or the manpower and the hours. Um, and basically the gamers will do it for free. You just give them the ability to play the game, and they do it for free. So, but yeah, no one's surprised with the state that these games have come out in the last year. I don't think anyone's surprised by this at all. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.